We're going to talk some NFL honors now, Denver. Did you watch the
Yeah,
live show?
I did not. I did not watch the show. I was busy, I think. I don't know.
I did not either. Obviously, I care about it and kept up on it, but I did not watch the live show, so I didn't know if there were any special moments there. I was kind of interested in it just because obviously it was at least a mostly socially distant event that they did. I think primarily at the Rams Chargers stadium. So maybe I'll have to go back and catch some video of that. But anyway, moving on. We're getting right into it. We're just gonna run through the award recipients real quick, and then we will get into further discussion about them. So here we go. We're throwing it up on the screen for the visual audience. Assistant Coach of the Year. I didn't even know this was an award, but I'm glad it is because this man on the screen, Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, definitely deserved it. That offense was incredible this year, a big step up from where they have been. Good on him. All right, Coach of the Year, Kevin Stefanski from the Cleveland Browns. Big year out of them, obviously making the playoffs, winning a game, almost winning a second game. Alex Smith, Comeback Player of the Year. Shouldn't be any shock here. What this man did
Yeah.
is absolutely incredible. I'm sure we'll talk about that. Defensive Rookie of the Year, another Washington football team player, Chase Young. Big stuff. Number 2 overall pick out of Ohio State. Offensive Rookie of the Year, another probably no shock here. You could have made the argument for one other guy. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Justin Herbert of the LA Chargers wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Offensive Player of the Year, Derrick Henry for the Titans. Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald of the LA Rams. And MVP, Aaron Rodgers, quarterback, Green Bay Packers. And last but certainly not least, the Walter Payton Man of the Year was Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. All right, Denver, we're just going to run it all the way back, start from the beginning. Any thoughts about Assistant Coach of the Year, Brian Dable?
Didn't know that was an award. Good for him. I'm glad they acknowledge assistant coaches.
Uh,
So that's good. That's my only take on that. And I mean the Bills had a great year and offensively they were good. So that's my take on that.
yeah, I don't think he's taken a head coaching job, and I'm not 100% sure if there are or how many there are still open. But I would expect this man within the next, year or two, if he doesn't get one yet this offseason, he'll be a head coach very soon. All right, Kevin Stefanski. I mean, I this is just one of the better turnarounds in a while, right? Like the Browns weren't awful last year, but it felt like they maybe underperformed based on what they had. This man comes in from Minnesota, and all of a sudden they're a 10, 11 win team and upset the Steelers in the playoffs. Big year for the Browns.
This is an example of changing culture within an organization and with your players. He comes in, he's more personable, he's more of a jolly guy, I would say. He's what the Browns really needed to succeed. So good for him. It changed really. I think this head coaching changed how the Browns are gonna be for a long time.
I would say the
So this is
considerable
good.
future as a Steelers fan now that it's the Ravens who are always good. Now the Browns I have to worry about, and I'm assuming that Cincinnati will continue to build around Joe Burrow, and the Steelers are looking like they're going the wrong way. So that makes me very, very scared on a more personal note. Moving forward, I love this. Comeback Player of the Year, Alex Smith. This dude had, I don't even remember how many surgeries it was. I want to say like 17, just so that he could freaking walk. No one thought he was going to play football again. Gets cleared. He comes in and he's a big reason why Washington made the postseason. Now, I understand that they only had a 7-9 record, but that's good enough sometimes. And Alex Smith is definitely good enough sometimes.
I think Alex Smith coming back and coming from second string quarterback, third string quarterback sometimes to win this award is a true testament to that man's character, how he loves the game of football. It's honestly a pleasure to watch that this year, and I hope Alex Smith is able to take the Redskins to maybe a winnable record, at least for that division. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I think honestly throughout most of his career, he's been a little bit underrated. When he was on the 49ers early on, they weren't great, and then he had that 1 year under whichever Harbaugh it was. Jim, John, I always get them mixed up. Anyway,
yep.
he had a good year, but then got replaced by Kaepernick, and then he got his shine with the Chiefs a little bit, but he's always going to be remembered probably as the guy who helped get them to the point where then Mahomes could take over and do what he's been doing. So to see him go down with that injury, I am very glad that didn't end up being the final moment of his career. He's getting up there in age a little bit. He very easily could have just thrown it in, and retired and just moved on with his life. But for him to come back again, it just shows that this man has some unshakable character, and I'm in the boat that this award needs to be named the Alex Smith Comeback Player of the Year award in the future.
Yes.
Alrighty, moving on. Again, another Washington football team player gets an honor. Chase Young. This was probably the easiest vote out of all of them, right? You'd imagine maybe Alex Smith actually was more of a landslide, but Chase Young, there wasn't a better defensive rookie than him this year. Absolutely not. That's why he's here on this list.
I have one sentence about the defensive rookie of the year. I can't name another defensive rookie of the year that was better than Chase Young, and I can't even name another defensive rookie of the year candidate that could compete against Chase Young. The man's dominant. The man's a force. He's going to be. He's probably going to be like Aaron Donald levels of good here at his peak. I really feel that.
Absolutely. I saw so much talk early on this year about, he's already a bust. He's not getting the pressures that you get out of here with that shit, man. This dude was still, he had no off season to speak of. Comes into the NFL and still, he put up a respectable number of sacks for a rookie. And as the I almost said it. The Washington football team. As the Washington football team continues to get better, I think that will also elevate this man's level of play. I'm excited to see what he can do in the future. On the other side of the ball, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Justin Herbert. Did you feel like he was the most deserving of this award?
I think yes, only because Joe Burrow got injured. If Joe Burrow wouldn't have gotten injured, I think Joe Burrow would have been the offensive rookie of the year. But Justin Herbert is hopefully he's not a one and done type guy, but hopefully he's able to take the Chargers to another level that they haven't been to in a hot minute. And winning this award, is a confidence booster. It's really like, I'm here, I'm setting the tone, I'm your quarterback for the foreseeable future. And I really believe Justin Herbert at the end of the year did deserve this.
Yeah, I think the only other rookie that had a really considerable chance was Justin Jefferson from the
Oh, yeah.
Vikings. I mean, he had an absolutely monster year, but I mean, at the end of the day, there's nobody going to deny that it's a quarterback's league. So if you're a quarterback putting up the type of numbers that Herbert did, he had not only a good rookie season, he had a above average season for any NFL quarterback. That has to count for something. What I'm just going to say real quick is I have to, kind of indirectly apologize to this man. I was a little bit down on him coming into the season. I really liked that Oregon team that he was a part of in college. But after watching some of his bigger games for Oregon, I wasn't 100% certain that he would translate super well to the NFL. He has proved me wrong in a hot minute. He throws one of the most beautiful deep balls I've ever seen. This man's going to be really fun to watch in the upcoming years if he keeps it up. And so that's another thing I'm really excited for. Offensive Player of the Year, Derrick Henry. Your thoughts, Denver?
If you didn't say it in the last statement, this is a quarterbacks league. This man, he should have been the MVP to me. Derrick Henry is a tank. I'm glad he translated well into the NFL because he's from Alabama, and Alabama is not known for having, at least in recent years, great running backs translate into the NFL. Mark Ingram maybe is the best one they've had come out of that program here in recent memory. But I just love his physicality. I love what he brings to the table. This man really did deserve this award, and I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, on that topic of Offensive Player of the Year versus MVP, I'm very glad that the NFL struck a balance here. Now, I don't know if it's like a rule. I just honestly haven't paid attention. Is if like the MVP can't win Offensive Player of the Year and vice versa. However, if they can, or if you're eligible to win both awards, I'm glad that the same person didn't win both. Because while we're on the topic of Derrick Henry, this man, he's one of now 8, I think, players to ever rush for 2,000 yards in a season. I mean, what he does, his style of running is so fun to watch. Because he's so big. And it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense for him to move that fast, man. It just doesn't make sense. And yeah, I just love watching him run, even if it's him running over, other players that I like. It's just he runs with such aggression, and I can't. I sound like a fanboy right here, and I really am because I love watching this man play. We'll get to the other side of this argument in a minute for the MVP side, but in between, we got Defensive Player of the Year, and this is Aaron Donald for the third time in his career.
Here's what I'm gonna say about this one, and this could get me a lot of slack because I know people think T.J. Watt was probably the better statistically overall. But I saw this video, right? And in this video, it shows 3 offensive linemen trying to guard Aaron Donald from their quarterback. You had to put 2 to 3 linemen on this man to make sure he doesn't get to you. That's a presence right there, and I don't care what anybody says. When you have that much, you have that hold on an offensive line to be like, we need to put 2 to 3 guys on this man, just to hopefully make sure he doesn't get to the quarterback. That shows a lot statistically. Though they'll look at T.J. Watt. I think he could have easily won it. He played out of his mind this year. I just think that when you're looking at Defensive Player of the Year, just like you would look at maybe MVP in the NBA, like any award, it's who has the most presence on that side of the ball, and I just think that's Aaron Donald.
I'm glad you brought up the Defensive Player of the Year to NBA MVP thing, because otherwise I was going to do it. This, to me, anyone who's ever had a conversation with me about Aaron Donald knows that I am as big an Aaron Donald fan as anybody. What this man does, he is the most dominant player in any sport that I've ever seen. It's actually ridiculous. For a man who, for the position, is undersized a little bit, he's just unfreaking believable. Now, that being said, TJ Watt was robbed. In the NBA, now you were saying that it always goes to the player with the most presence. I completely disagree. In the NBA, you got stat patters like Russell Westbrook and James Harden that are getting the MVP award and getting a lot of votes for the MVP award year in and year out. And what they do, they don't have the same presence. I mean, if the NBA MVP was awarded to the man with the greatest presence every year, LeBron would be the 17-time defending NBA MVP. Sometimes stats have to matter if you have an exceptional season. And for that reason, I think TJ Watt was robbed. And I know it's his brother coming to his defense here on the screen, but this is important to me. The quote from TJ Watt reads, "Aaron Donald is an absolutely incredible player. I love watching him play, and he's headed to the Hall of Fame without question. This has nothing to do with AD personally. This is me saying what my brother won't. TJ played one less game and still led the NFL in every major category." Now, stat padding in the NBA is way different than what TJ Watt did this season. There's not really a way to stat pad in the NFL unless you're some quarterback racking up a shit ton of yards when your team is down by 40 every game, right? TJ Watt led the NFL for edge rushers and like interior linemen in literally all these categories on your screen that's green. And for the people who are listening audio only, that's sacks, tackles for loss, pressures, QB hits. He gives up forced fumbles to Aaron Donald, but he also had 7 passes defense and a pick. So, there's a little bit of a trade-off there. If you have this statistically dominant of a season, I think that has to count for something, and that's why I think TJ got robbed this year. That's not me as a Steelers fan talking. That's me as a dude who's trying to strike a balance between dominance and statistical production. There's no doubt that both men have the statistical production relative to where they are. And Aaron Donald is no doubt the more dominant player, though TJ is incredibly disruptive if you ever watch a Steelers game. I just think that if you put up the type of numbers that TJ put up this year, you have to win the award. Unless someone did absolutely something nutty, like, a middle linebacker put up, 4 picks, 200 and something tackles, and, a handful of forced fumbles or something crazy like that. Or maybe a cornerback, like the other guy who probably had a case for it was Xavier Howard, the cornerback for Miami, just putting up as many picks as he did. But stats have to count for something. Otherwise, why do you have them?
I agree with you. I mean, like I said, it's just pure dominance to me. I think you talking about it, I can look at it in a different light, It's just, yeah, he got robbed. It's one of those situations where if you look purely at stats, TJ Watt should have been your defensive player of the year.
Well, and even just to take that one step further, and then I'll have said my piece. I think, obviously, like I already said it, right? Aaron Donald is the most dominant athlete in any sport I've ever seen. But I think that undersells the amount that TJ can show in games. I mean, that man, I know edge rushing versus interior lineman, that's a tough thing to go 1-to-1 on, but TJ does a lot of great stuff too. It's not like TJ is some wimp who has, guys still double him, not to the same frequency as Aaron Donald or anything like that. But to think that he has it easy, I think is underselling it. And again, I think he deserved to win this award even more so than he did last year, when I felt like maybe he didn't even get the shine he deserved then. But we've spent a little bit of more time on Defensive Player of the Year than any other, so we can move on now to MVP. This was Aaron Rodgers. I think he deserved it. Again, I think there's got to be some sort of balance this year between the MVP and Offensive Player of the Year. I know obviously one is much more prestigious, but both Derrick Henry and Aaron Rodgers had such phenomenal years. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league for how long now? And he still managed to put up what was just kind of a mind-boggling year. I think it was 48 touchdowns to only 5 picks. and, well over 4,000 yards. Just a great year.
I have no disagreements. I have no arguments with you. I agree on every stat you said. Aaron Rodgers really did deserve to be the MVP for the NFL this year because the boggling statistics that he did put up. I'm a real Bears fan. That's like my true team. And every time we play Aaron Rodgers, he has like 5 touchdowns, feels like. He deserved it. Great for him. I hope he stays in the league a little bit longer, but it'd be a good note to go off on if he were to decide to, maybe step down or step away.
Oh, I don't think there's any way he steps away, but we'll save that for another time. Last but certainly not least, the Walter Payton Man of the Year. This is obviously has nothing to do with what you do on the field, but that's kind of what I love about this award. You know, sports is so much more than just what you see on the field, and I feel like that doesn't get portrayed enough. So for the NFL to have this award and for it to mean as much as it does, you hear a lot in the media about how much this award actually, how much weight this actually holds to be kind of like the most like incredible person in the NFL. Means a lot. And Russ Wilson has been one of the good guys in the NFL his whole career. So I don't think he's won it before. I could be wrong, but to see him win it this year, no real surprise here. And I'm glad that again that just like the good guys get acknowledged.
I do agree with you there. I think the Walter Payton Man of the Year award is the most prestigious award. Like you can have the MVP and that's great, but like being known for like an actual person outside of what you're known for, you don't take credit for it. You just go do it. I'm glad all 32 teams get to have a representative in this award. That's huge. Russ is really a good guy, like you said. There's not many in the NFL who are genuinely liked as much as Russell. And for what he did off the field, I'm very appreciative of that, even though I never received anything from him. Just the character you learn about the man. And so congrats to him for that.
The last little bit we'll do here about the NFL honors thing is we're gonna throw in the newest Pro Football Hall of Fame class in here. We have Alan Faneca, who was a guard for the Steelers, the Jets, and the Cardinals. I believe it was Tom Flores, who was a coach for the Raiders and I believe a couple other teams there for a while. Calvin Johnson, Megatron, love that. John Lynch, safety for the Bucks and the Broncos. Peyton Manning, everybody knows Peyton Manning. Bill Nunn, who was a scout for the Steelers. Drew Pearson, who I've seen a lot of memes about him whining his way into the Hall of Fame. That's kind of funny. And Charles Woodson. Denver, any high-level thoughts about these men?
I am glad to see Megatron in there. I am glad that Peyton Manning wasn't even like discussed. Like it was like, yep, he's in there. And Charles Woodson, Charles Woodson gets I don't necessarily say overlooked a lot, but his presence was really felt. So for those three to be the main headliners of this upcoming NFL Hall of Fame is really great, and this is a truly special class because I got to see 3 of these guys, 4 of them really, in my lifetime. So
Yeah, this is very interesting. You got a lot of different stuff here, right? I think Faneca has been in the wings waiting for a while. Like he's been eligible for several years, but just hasn't got the number of votes. But everyone kind of knows he's been deserving because of the career he had. Calvin Johnson having a relatively short career, right, and still making it as first ballot. That's not a shock at all, but that just is kind of a testament to how dominant he was for the short time we got to see him. Love John Lynch, both as a player and a manager. He's just kind of a fun guy, especially now that you see him as the face of the 49ers. Everyone loves Peyton, no doubt there. And then The other one that obviously we got to see is Charles Woodson, and he was so good for so long that and I don't really have anything to say in particular on any of these guys. I'm just glad we got a good Hall of Fame class, you know. And with that, I think that closes this segment of the podcast.